Like we got him.
Incorrect. I got him.
Well, either way, we're gonna collect this bounty. What the?
All right. Sorry about that. Let me see. Mic is working. That's always a good sign. All right. Howdy, folks. I'm Cody with IronVerse Comics, and we're doing a very, very long overdue Whatcha Reading continuation here. I was doing this weekly for quite a bit and hit a stumble during one of them with a doesn't matter. You can go back to Whatcha Reading 12 if you want to figure out what was going on. But we're back now, and again, it is long overdue. Quite a few things to talk about since I don't stop the reading. And in fact, I'm probably missing some of the things I read during this period, but we'll work with what we got and go from there. So let me go ahead and swap over here. And oh, there I am. Howdy. All right, let me see. See the stack a little bit. Now this is one case where this neat little border frame doohickey I'm doing may be a impediment to sharing the work here. So we'll see. Let me know if that is a thing, and we'll go from there. As always, on What You're Reading, I want to know what you've been reading, so let me know. Comments below later. right now. We'll chat about it. Just before I got on here, somebody who couldn't make it by the live stream was discussing this week's release of A Thing #1 miniseries. Apparently, it was very well received by this fella who's a big Fantastic Four fan. So I love hearing that. Love hearing that our big orange rock gets some love. Just it makes me feel good, especially these days where finding a really good comic in the mainstream can be difficult. So I'm again very glad to hear that. Consider checking it out. I guess it must have released what's today, Thursday, so yesterday. I'd like to do these on New Comic Book Day, but I'm just glad I getting back on this particular horse. So we got up top here what I read most recently, literally last night. So we will save that, I think. What do I want to start with? A lot of manga to talk about this go. Mainly because of ease of reading. It's not a chore to read. Um, so we'll talk about that. Let's go from the thing I read the longest ago that I probably remember the least about, and we'll work our way forward. I think that's what we'll do. So this is still excellent. It's still probably my favorite presentation of a manga. In terms of how it's printed and how the cover comes out and just all the subtle details they put into physically manifesting this work again. And we talked about the last release too, and the quality hasn't gone down at all. As long as they keep releasing volumes like this, I am on board. I want this whole series. And getting it like this, it just feels good. It's a good weight. It's solid. It's strong. It is Fist of the North Star, volume #2. So, I'm going to have to look through this a little bit to remember it. Again, it's a little further back. I think it stops, is this where he is defeating the fella about the well? Yes, okay. So, uh, Fist of the North Star, if people aren't familiar, it's kind of Mad Max meets Bruce Lee, best way I would ever describe it. It's very much a power fantasy. At almost no point do you feel that our protagonist here is going to lose. He's just always so badass, no matter how they build up these villains, and they don't build them up much besides being evil, right? So it's a lot of it's got that little edge of the Punisher I always really liked, where the villains are villains. They're scum. They're things that they the back of your mind you feel okay sweeping away. Let's say, um, and holy hell, I'm just continuously blown away with the pacing and the writing. The paneling's always very entertaining as well. It's kind of classic manga. Line work is very clean and expressive. You know, beautiful work. Beauty, of course, eye of the beholder. Um, I'm unsure if this is the one where there was a particular scene in it that the setup and follow was just great. It made me laugh my ass off in a time where maybe it wasn't supposed to be funny. It was supposed to be cool and epic, but it was like how they did it. I'm not sure that was this volume. He's fighting some Captain Boomerang motherfucker right here. But let me see. And then Claw motherfucker. Yeah, I'm not sure which one it was. But it's the scene that's sticking with me so much through Fistmore Star was yeah, a lot of manga or anime, especially something like this is pre really having shonen defined. It was kind of how one of the things that started to define the genre of shonen, but was also it's more brutal and bloody and a little bit grosser. And I forgot what they call that particular genre. Seinen, I want to say seinen. Um, but anyway, there's a move that was like bone bone extraction punch or something stupid like that. And he says it and does the move, hits the guy on one page, and then you flip the page and it's literally just the bones flying out of a guy. And I don't know, just the pacing and delivery of that, I found it fucking hilarious. It was one of the funniest things I've read in sequential art, and I'm a big Wanderer fan, right? So I don't know. That might have just been me at the time, and it just hit perfectly, like how it was phrased, and what and then how it was presented just came together to make me laugh my ass off. Again, I think it was supposed to be epic because he really did. He knocked the bones out of this guy, but I don't know. I don't think it was supposed to be that funny. Um, it was good, So the main thing, the trials in Fist of the North Star don't come from our protagonist here being challenged. It comes from the things he cares about being challenged. So in that way, it's got that man with no name feeling to it, where um, he rides in and kicks a lot of ass and then rides out, right? So I also really appreciate that. It's got that Western setup. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is a Dead Man's Walk. Volume 1, he finished the main goal. He killed the guy who killed his girl. So I'm not so sure what the overall goal is anymore, except for having this badass wander around and clean up clear up the wastes. That's cool with me. That's plenty enough setup for me. But if you haven't read Fist of the North Star, you can enjoy gore. You can enjoy ridiculous gore. I mean, this is like trauma level goofy kind of shit. And you can enjoy a artist, writer team that knew exactly what they wanted to do. That's really like a big thing. They don't waver on what they're doing. They're not experimenting so far in volume 1 and 2. There's no experiment. You're getting what you got from chapter 1 more, right? And it's well done, so it doesn't so far hasn't become boring. Again, it's different ways of these things. Again, I'm gonna bring up the Punisher again. It's you hope you know what's coming, and then when they deliver it and they deliver it well, it's satisfying. It's the big changes are how the kills are done, really, and um, that's really about it with Fist of the North Star, because again, this ongoing plot that you think's going to last for a long time, it ends in volume 1. And then by volume 2, just the next candle was a well that this old lady who takes care of war orphans, I'm going to call them war orphans, close to war orphans. It's orphans nonetheless. Water's really tough to find, again, in the apocalypse, clean water. And this nasty dynamite wielding motherfucker thinks he can kill the old lady and take over the well and not have to worry about water for his massive biker gang. And of course, our main guy here is standing right in front of that. And goes through and finishes the fucker. The end of volume 1 had him fighting these military guys that were supposed to be super badass, and then this one opens with him defeating that guy pretty damn quick. Its big thing is they'll show these guys, they'll kind of build them up about how badass they are. They'll show some weapons or whatever, and then he just swats them like flies. And that happens again and again. And they've upped it pretty good. I mean, they had a guy, and I think it was in this one towards the end, that was like 60 feet tall. Yeah, here, I'll show you. It's pre-Attack on Titan kind of shit. Where Ken here is only a third of his head size, and he just fucking wipes the floor with the guy. There's never a chance for the villains, even though the writer artist combo try to build it up like, oh come on, maybe he'll be challenged this time. No. It's power fantasy at its purest form, and it's very entertaining because of it. Definitely check out Fist of the North Star. These new American releases are beautifully presented. This thing feels like it'll last forever, and it's It's got these small touches. It's tactile. It's got a great tactile kind of interaction, feel. It's just a fun series if you can enjoy crazy gore martial arts in an apocalypse. I mean, that's all of that's up my alley. So really enjoyed Volume 2. It's been a little bit again. This one I think I read could have been up to 2 months ago. It's been a while. So I did remember that the main plot that runs through all of Volume 2 after he finishes that little military thing at the beginning, which I think is only a chapter, is dealing with that biker gang finding out about that orphan and granny community that has a well, and then him just getting in between it before they take the well. And the main biker guy kind of knowing he shouldn't fuck with Ken, but still really wanting the water and trying to trick Ken to kind of go away, doesn't work out, and then he runs to a prison and releases that 60-foot dude, and Ken kills the 60-foot dude. It's fun. It's fun stuff. All right, then the next thing I had read most recently, and in direct opposite spectrum as I like to do, Wild at Heart. You guys can't see that with the glare. Let me bring it on up. But yeah, Fist of the North Star I can't stop recommending so far. I'm excited for Volume 3 in the end of December. I'll be able to get that. That's pretty cool to me. Wild at Heart. So I got a manga lot. Now what was the other shit that was in this? I think I got a couple Gru issues. Is Why Gru Volume 2 issues. And the seller was selling this for $1 a volume. It's a 3-volume little thing, and if I didn't like it, $3 down the road, right? It's adorable. It's from the creator of Kitchen Princess, which I was aware of because my ex. I'd never read it though. So this I just jumped in. It's a cute. It's a teenage Tarzan romance story. That's all it is, and I'm used to those kind of romance stories, and it's fun. There's a weird thing that this artist or maybe even this manga company does where in the chapters she only has to do about 2/3 of a page, and then the other third is like life anecdotes from the mangaka, which it was fine. It gave some flavor and some history to what was being said, but rarely had to do too much with the story, and I think it was just a way to draw less, if I'm being 100% honest. But the art is classic, that more feminine manga art style. Really cute story about a guy who, about a young man who is found in an island by this explorer guy who happens to be the main protagonist's father. And the first woman he ever saw, again, it was very Tarzan, was a picture of the daughter, right? And so he brings this teenage boy back to society, and it's a lot of classic teen drama like interactions, like, oh, does he love me, and all that. But it's presented very cute, very heartfully, and it's fun, and it closes, and then there's a twist in the middle of it where the father who had lost this kid shows up. Then there's another one where it's like his adopted sister had found she's a bit weird and she's left alone all the time, so she keeps looking for this missing half brother. And she actually finds him, and you don't think that it's him because it might not be him, and then it's him. It was way more fun than it had a right to be. It was an easy read, and I don't read enough stuff. I don't interact with enough media that is just human interaction and not violence, right? And so it was a dab fine change of pace in that way, and just romance, reading something with a romantic edge that was nice. I definitely recommend it. It's an all age read. Anybody can read it. It's fine. It's just really cute. It's well done. Like the pacing's fine. Again, that bit where she interjects with her life and it kind of takes away from the story annoys me, but for some it might help, and maybe that's just like a stylistic thing. They want to, to sell it, want you to get to know it. So that would mess with pacing. Like, you're in the middle of the story here, and then you got that paragraph to the right that has nothing to do with the story and just stuff about the mangaka's life. But never really stopped me from reading it. Not at all. It's just it was very cute and heartfelt, and it was what I would want picking up a book like this, especially out of nowhere. So I recommend that honestly, and I got it for again $1 a volume, totally worth my time, and took a couple, it was an hour or two to go through it, totally worth it to me. I recommend it. And again, complete opposite spectrum of Fist and North Star, which I appreciate. I like to try and balance what media I'm consuming in some form. When I was reading Berserk, I was reading a lot of Gru. just so I don't get lost in the weeds of either, right? The wholesome, fun stuff loses its punch if I don't remember the depths, and the depths can really take hold if I don't remember the whimsy, right? So that's how I get through a lot of heavier stuff, and whether in life or just reading. That's how you got to find some form of balance. All right, we're going in order of read. I feel like I've read something in between Wild Heart and this what I'm going to talk about, but fuck if I remember. Um, Likely it was a Gru issue or two, and since I've been collecting and finished the collection of Volume 2, I kind of lost my place. And when I was originally going through it, I had a lot of missing issues. So what I'm going to do is, with Gru the Wanderers, I'm going to start from issue 1. And what I'd like to do is do a issue by issue analysis of that. I'd really like to do that. So if I talk about Gru again, it's likely going to be that. I'm just going to start from issue 1 of Volume 2 and go to issue 120. If I can, I would love to. It'd just be short little, it might be like an IronVerse Quickie kind of thing. In fact, I believe I have Gru Volume 2, Issue Number 1 as an IronVerse Quickie on here if you're curious about that. So I might be able to start at Issue 2. But we'll see. We'll see. But this, okay, so the next 3 reads actually, are all things I found through social media that I didn't know existed, right? So there's a channel I really do enjoy called Comic Tropes. I'm sure if you folks watch a lot of comics YouTube, that might be one channel that you're familiar with. I appreciate his in-depth analyses and such of different things to do with comics. It's usually artists or creators that maybe I don't know very much about, being relatively new to the space. And so he did one relatively recently about Sam Keith. And I was aware of Sam Keith due to the Max, just that whole design and his expression. And I had seen chunks of the show. I really appreciated how batshit nuts he was able to combine this dual world theory into a character. That it was a homeless wreck of a character who was the king of the jungle at the same time. I really liked that. Plus his very unique artistic expression of it. The Max is a character that looks like no other character, even though he's very general in shape. And of course, seeing his Wolverine covers, and some people might know him without realizing it from the opening issues of Sandman, which I also ended up checking out after seeing some of the Sam Keith stuff because I wanted to see. I heard it was a very difficult production, and you can tell. And there's something really cool about how he panels that you don't get with I. So I've read a good chunk of comics, and usually panels are rectangular. Sam Keith loves his ovals and circles, and even doing walleye kind of perspectives and that kind of stuff to add this spherical, grandiose feeling to things that you don't get with other artists. Like I'm sure there's a few others who are really good at that, but if you're reading manga or you're reading more classic comics or even modern comics, you don't get round paneling, which kind of sad because I've seen a guy who can do it very well. It's Sam Keith. So I love that. I love seeing something new in it. And anyway, build up. So through this comic tropes video, came across something that was, some people didn't care for so much, but it was right up my alley. It was ancient philosophy meets ancient, well, it's ancient philosophy, period. Philosophy and mythology were about the same fucking thing at that time. And after hearing what Sandman kind of felt to him and that he had to be reined in, I wanted to see something where he had a collaborator that wasn't reining in his art style, right? And also that wasn't just his solo expression like the Mags. And so when I heard this was a thing, I totally snagged it. Epicurus the Sage. Oh man, it's a lot of fun. So I haven't gotten through the second story, I want to say. But the first story, which is mostly set up and then presents some of these philosophers' ideals, and then goes through the old tale where Hades takes the woman to be his wife, and that's how the change of seasons happens. And then he has to let her go for a certain amount of time and take her back a certain amount of time. I forgot the goddess and the goddesses' names, but it's Hades is the main antagonist, right? And he does this a few times. There's one where she's saved by the man, if I remember right. Instead, this philosopher Epicurus, he's the one who parlays between who I think is Mother Nature and not Gaia Mother Nature, but like a goddess separate to her, if I remember, because Gaia actually the woman says that Gaia betrayed her by allowing this crevice to open to Hades to take her daughter, right? Even though the daughter wanted to go hang out with this, it's like a heavy metal version of Greek philosophy. I guess that's the best way I can put it. And by heavy metal, I don't mean the music. I mean the magazine. It's got that adult edge to it. It's got that little bit of sexiness to it, but it's got this grime and just a beautiful art style. What the hell was that? I heard noise. Oh, howdy. That's what it says. Howdy, Sir John. Hitting numbers like it's bingo, talking in its own lingo, flamboyant like a flamingo. Ah, yes. But welcome, talking Epicurus the Sage. I think it's might be a Sam Keith work that people aren't so aware of. Um, I love his art in it. He can go from, and we'll just show the opening scene here if I can without glare. That's the biggest problem is the lighting is terrible. Uh, Beautiful, soft woman they're talking about. It's the setup to Epicurus was about balance, moderation in things. And you can say balance, but moderation. Balance would mean that you're hitting both extremes. He meant moderation. You don't really hit either extreme. Um, so he goes from that beauty to a show of Aries, wonderful inking. The colorist does really well in this first bit. By the third bit, it's a different colorist. So, and I haven't read that, so I can't quite say. I read the first and the second story. That's it. Second story is Zeus sleeping around, and they're trying to stop Hera from killing every woman that they come across, and blaming it on the women, convincing Zeus to go screw around and not Zeus taking advantage of being the god of gods. Uh, but Sam Keith's art style it's got that lovable cartoony flair with this dark edge to it. He's able to present grace and he's able to present horror. Um, I really love his artwork. And this story is my kind of, it puts Aristotle, Plato, Epicurus, um, Socrates, and kind of takes a piss on all of them while trying to show, what you can get out of it. That's good. That's growth. Where their rigidity can be bypassed, because a lot of their philosophies were very rigid, because they were trying to figure out the way. And in my experience, there isn't a the way. There's many ways and many things to learn from. But uh, it's really cool. I can certainly recommend it. Again, it's an adult book. It looks like, it's got some Calvin and Hobbes almost looks to it at points, but I don't recommend that you share this with a kid. It's not a kid's story. There's no cussing or anything, but there is nudity and gore. And honestly, something he can draw noses phallically. And I think there's a point to it. There's even one scene where it's looking right up, and it totally. There's a guy whose nose looks exactly like a cock. It's got the big fucking nostril thing going. So the guys are working at that adult level. This is something that Vertigo would have to publish. In fact, I'm not even sure who the publisher was for the DC, but a Cliffhanger imprint. I'm not aware of the Cliffhanger imprint. I've seen it a few times. At least it does say suggest for mature readers on the back. That's good. But yeah, I can recommend that. And let me see here. Ooh, very active, very active. Let me see. Did you know you're streaming on your TV? First time seeing someone streaming his TV, showing himself. Well, that's cool. At least it's unique. Yes, my TV. It's a Fallout 4 screenshot I've worked out here. Okay. How you feel about packed rooms and empty rooms? I don't have my drawer is full but not out. No poster, no nothing. Straight function. Where's the middle ground between efficiency and personality? I'm not very clean. I'm a very scattered mind guy, so you'll see everything's scattered. So for me, efficiency is an action, not so much presentation. Presentation to me is whatever you feel like doing, and in my case, it's scattered, right? So if your personality feels like a show of function, it better suits you, then right on. In fact, that's probably healthier, if I'm honest. But this also is part of just sharing. That's what I try to do. But I don't know if it's a personality people are personally into. So scattered and blah blah blah. But I like it. So I hope that answers a little bit for you. But yeah, so Epicurus the Sage. I keep saying curious because it sounds better to me. But no, it's Epicurus the Sage. I recommend it. It was a little hard to find, and the copy I found was a little screwed up. But I get a lot of comics secondhand like that. I kind of like that because then I can keep them alive, even though they were falling apart. And this probably will never be reprinted. It was such a small comic. Again, the imprint's gone. So yeah, and I doubt you'd find the single issues either. So yeah, get your monstrous looking characters. The first guy he meets, I'll show you, is he ends up smelling like sheep shit from eating this guy the entire bit. But so you got this big map bit. Of course, can we? God, what I can tell, you're not seeing shit, and I do apologize. There you go. That's a little bit better. A very simple philosopher who just says very simple things, and I appreciated that start. I think it's well written. I enjoy it. Might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it was what I wanted out of it when I got it, and that's all I can ask for art. All right. So I'm still reading that. We'll probably talk about it more next go. After I get through it. This was the next thing, and this one's hard to say I read, right? This is, as I try to do something, I try to have a Gru issue every go. We don't have a Gru issue this go. Instead, we do have an intro by Sergio Aragonés talking about Prohias, the creator of Spy versus Spy. Very fun stuff, very beautiful, and a good expression of a friendship that was built in this industry, all that. But this is Spy versus Spy, Explosive Celebration, yada yada yada. 150 classic adventures. So you don't really read Spy versus Spy, as folks know. It's sequential art specifically without words, lettering. So I do recommend this. This was fun. It was cheap too. The hardcover's nice. Got a good feel to it. Um, I would almost rather have the comics not colored. I think the original presentation is probably better, but the color doesn't take away from anything. You can tell the colorist was very careful not to ruin the strips with like big stylistic choices. She went very cartoony, which works. And Spy versus Spy comics are very hit or miss. But it was fun. It was a good celebration, and it's a great exposition, or not exposition, exhibition of sequential storytelling purely through pictures, and I really I respect that. And the guy had a good sense of humor going through the Cuban change to communism, having to escape over here, and basically helping put Mad on the map for a good chunk of time. Again, not much to read. It's Spy versus Spy, so you interact with the art and then get a story out of it. It's not quite reading. I don't know what term you would put for that, but yeah. That intro story is about eight pages from Aragonés, and it just describes their friendship, and it's as fun as any of his work ever is. So I can recommend this. I think it's enjoyable. It includes a bunch of pinups in between the chapters from throughout Mad's history. One of them from Jim Lee, which is just crazy. But there was a lot. Bill Sienkiewicz also, he had one. Darwin Cook had one in here. Um, there's some cool stuff. Cool stuff. Definitely worth the price I paid. It says $25 for this. I think I got it for 12. So definitely worth it. I think I was 12 new on Amazon. So it didn't sell that well, but very, very cool. Good stuff. Just fun to have around, honestly, and I appreciated the artistry, and it's just a fun interaction with a book. It's picture books. I guess you're still reading. I don't know. Um, Let me look up here. You have like boxes full of stuff. There's a hierarchy, very useful box. Keys, chargers, the monthly. What's my lowest? You don't like people with pre-built opinion that can't be shook. I don't like people that never go with the bit and only enjoy killing the bit and crushing the mood. I'm probably the second guy. I don't understand jokes most of the time. So if you're joking right now, I don't understand. Uh, I just try to interact honestly and with as much, room to learn as possible. So I'm probably killing your bit or mood, and I do apologize there, but I'm not a guy who can usually play along with that because I don't understand it. Um, Best I can say. So this may not be the place for you if you're looking for that kind of fun interaction. I'm here to present what I read as best I can and just put content down. I've never been a good dancing monkey. And it's not because I look down upon that. It's because I'm not built for it. So apologies if that's what you're looking for. I don't know what the bit was. If the bit was I'm messy, I am indeed messy. Uh, if the bit was yeah, see, I don't understand. So I hope that clears it up. I still appreciate you stopping by and interacting. Time's limited. Try and respect the time even if I'm terrible at it, right? All right. So after Spy versus Spy, we've got. Oh, okay. What negatives do you find positives? I like honestly rude girls. I like to be clear. Um, Negatives you find positive, then it would be a positive to me. Um, I guess you mean societal negatives or structural negatives that you like. Keep on with comics, there's quite a few terrible art styles that are really loose and not very appealing, that their personality speaks very well to me. Otherwise, like I don't like rude people, so that's not a thing. I don't share that with you. Um, mm, yeah, I that was the best examples through artistry, where styles can be perceived differently and some can be technically terrible, and I can still love the hell out of the personality that that terrible expression is putting forward. That's the best I got for you. Apologies there if that's not enough or not great enough, because I can't think of anything outside of artistry off the top of my head. Howdy, dollar coins. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, we're doing what you're reading. I'm almost done. I've got two things left. Two things. Um, but excited to talk about them. I really enjoyed both. So what do I want to talk about first? I was reading them at the same time last night, basically. Not the same time, but I alternated. So trying to figure out. I guess I'll go into this. This is easier, and I don't have to talk about as much, right? So this was great. I fucking loved this. Gendy Tartakovsky's Cage. Came across it on social media, on Twitter. There was some discourse about Marvel not doing good by Cage for a very long time, and somebody suggested, this was the most fun I've had with Cage for a long time. And I'm a huge Gendy Tartakovsky fan. The one of my main influences as a comic creator is Samurai Jack. Um, and so, I grew up with Dexter's Lab as well, and his influence on Powerpuff Girls as well, and it foundational, foundational. The sense of humor, the sense of style, the pacing. For Samurai Jack, the setting, the ideas explored, um, just foundational. And so when I heard he did a Cage miniseries and that he penciled and wrote it, I had to check it out. And it's just a lot of fun. He did not shy away from the blaxploitation flair of early Cage at all. He just had fun with it. Um, just some great art as well, great paneling. They play with the lettering in some places just greatly. There's this point where this bad guy's trying to do his whole origin story to Cage, trying to say it, and Cage just like, nope, I don't want to hear you. Yeah, here it is. And so throughout that, his word bubbles are covering up the main villain's word bubbles. Um, fun things like that. There's one where he's tripping balls, and so the lettering's kind of freaking out throughout. Um, just a lot of fun. A straightforward story. Cage just being Cage. He busts some villains. Then he starts seeing that he's about the only hero left in New York, because this guy's been capturing heroes to put them in a fighting pit. And by the end of it, you find out, he just wanted to test his mettle against the strongest. And even though he threw in characters like Ghost Rider, they still have Cage be the strongest, which was fine. This was just supposed to be fun, and it is fun. There's a point where he's running through the jungle and he's just getting fucking tired because he doesn't run that much. It had Tartakovsky's humor in it, and it was felt, and his adoration for the character was felt, and just a ton of freaking fun. 4 issues, I burnt right through it. I didn't know if I would or not. That's the thing with Western comics. Sometimes they're just a little much. They're trying to do too much in a page and not communicating the story great. But not this. Pacing was fine. He said what he needed to and not more. Very good understanding of sequential art from a guy who it makes sense. Is probably did a lot of storyboards back in the day, and there's a good overlap there. But just a lot of fun. I can recommend it very highly. It's my favorite Luke Cage story by far. And it takes place outside of any Marvel continuity. It's just a fun story. So I appreciate it, and I can recommend it very much so. I was stoked to read it in between. I was talking about I try to alternate things. I was reading. I got through 4 and change volumes of Fullmetal Alchemist yesterday as well. This story's been near and dear to my heart for, I think, since it started airing on Adult Swim, way back when. So the series is about 16 years old from this first printing in America that I saw in here, at least. So let me see. First printing of this is 2005. This is the 16th printing I'm holding right here. I do have a first printing of Volume 3, which is kind of neat. But anywho, Fullmetal Alchemist is super foundational as well, and I was very glad to finally get a hold of it. With the manga shortage and with the paper shortage and such, I watched as the box set of it went from $150 to I think it's now almost $450. So there was a short window where I could have got it at that lower price, and I didn't pull the trigger, and it broke my heart. So as it was going, and as I kind of felt I needed to have this series and to actually read it instead of just watching it. I've seen the original anime like 3 times, and then Brotherhood about once. And with how much better Brotherhood was, I wanted to see how the actual work was. Again, because of how important it was to me. It's explorations of extremely dark themes through children's eyes. It's its perspective on the government, its perspective on magic, on science, on spirituality. All of it was so very enthralling, engaging, and important to me as I was growing up. And so I needed to read it as presented, and it's been amazing. The pacing makes it digestible, even the most horrible scenes, which is really nice. The balance between goof and seriousness is very well done. The sad moments are sad moments. They're really well paced and presented. Um, just a masterclass. I keep looking at it and trying to figure out like how can I keep up with something this good? And then I was like, yeah, no, that's not. I'm not trying to do someone else's work. I'm doing my own. So just learn from it and move forward and enjoy it because it's fucking amazing. So of course I can recommend this series. It's getting pretty expensive to get a hold of, even the used copies of the volumes. But I really enjoyed it. I think I'm actually, it looks like I'm almost through volume 5 there. First volume, great intro. The first adventure is really good. It's actually, so Brotherhood adds a whole different layer to the first adventure with the Ice Alchemist, whereas the original anime actually followed this at the intro where they go straight into that false prophet arc, the priest. Um, Brotherhood and the original anime added scenes where Rose actually figures out that the guy is corrupt. They added the whole bit where he actually had made a chimera with his fake philosopher's stone that could talk like her dead boyfriend. That's not in the manga. I was very surprised that that wasn't, because it was one of the first things that kind of let you know how dark this series will go, besides the whole opening on a kid missing a leg screaming. But it's it was so crazy easy to go through, even though I know the plot, right? I know the main beats that are gonna happen. I know uh, the characterizations. I know the growth. I know the hidden bits. I know who's gonna die. Um, and nonetheless, it just is instantly enthralling, and the best sequential art pulls you into that world, and you forget about anything else. And wonderful at it. And I was not afraid that it wouldn't do that because, of course, to get as far as it got, it had to have merit. That's one of the other things with manga that doesn't quite translate over to the Western expressions of sequential art all the time. Uh, but man, just excellent. I'm probably going to tear through this series as I'm able to, and I can't recommend it enough. Any manifestation of it. I don't know how the video games have been, to be fair, but in terms of storytelling arts, where interaction isn't part of the goal, uh, check out Fullmetal Alchemist as an IP if you can stand a little bit of heavy. She put just enough levity, just enough celebration of the good to balance it out, and it's just read a lot of anime or manga all the way through storyline wise. Important stuff, Dragon Ball, Lead a Battle Angel. I'm current on. Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind, which is exceedingly heavy for what you'd think Miyazaki would put forward. Um, this is standing above almost all of that. Nausicaa hits some notes much stronger, but you are crawling through the mud with her. So far, this is taking you by the hand and leading you through these things with great respect and not shoving your face in the mud, um, which again Miyazaki does very, very well. But it's not so much a shove as you're going to trip and fall, and I'm going to watch you. This is, I don't know. I really appreciate it so far, and I'm super excited to finish it. Again, already almost 5 volumes into it. Just yesterday, I read for like 4.5 hours, including the cage, and that was enjoyable. I hadn't been able to do that for a long time. Part of what spurred today is what you're reading. Um, Let me see here. Have you read Molester Man? Okay, no. Yeah, okay. So you're just taking the piss on me this stream. That's fun. Interesting. Well, as long as you're enjoying yourself, it doesn't matter. I don't think I'm gonna be able to give you what you want, buddy. But I think I'm done. I've talked about Full Metal Alchemist. I've talked about wonderful work in Cage. Spy vs. Spy again, not too much to talk about. Its whole point is just quick gags, right? Not much to talk about. I did really appreciate the Sergio Aragonés dedication in the intro. That's the main reason I got it, and the rest of it is just a wonderful cherry on top. Epicurus the Sage. I got to get a little bit further into it to really tell how the whole series was, but the first 2 storylines really fun. Sam Keith's art is amazing. I really appreciate his interesting use of paneling. Again, he's one of the few who are brave enough to use circular panels, rounded panels, instead of just all the square that I am so damn used to through the other stuff. Wild at Heart, romance, not manga. You come across this, you want something lighthearted, or you're trying to get a younger lady into sequential art. This is a good one. This is a good one. And of course, Fist of the fucking North Star, the purest example of a power fantasy I've ever come across, presented in the most beautiful way I've seen manga presented in terms of the physical printing copy. Really excited to keep getting these. And that's what I've been reading. If anybody checks this out later on, I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear what you've been reading. That's the whole point of this series, is to just kind of share that. And I guess I'll catch you on that rusty IronVerse Comics trail. You take care, folks.